Prime Minister's modelling himself on Padre Pio, who famously was able to practice bilocation and be in two places at once, as he successfully passed the illegal migration bill through the Commons last night, despite a backlash from Labour, as well as meeting the Australian Prime Minister and the President of the United States to talk about submarines in San Diego. Just a few weeks ago, he managed to agree a change to the Northern Ireland Protocol in the Windsor framework. So has the Prime Minister turned it round for the Tories? Or has he merely fallen to the lap of a man who was in power at a convenient moment and things have just picked up in the natural cycle of events? But I'm now joined by my very distinguished panel, Kevin Craig, a former Labour councillor, and Emma Webb, director of the Common Sense Society. So, Kevin, do you think Rishi has turned it round, that Keir Starmer's turned out to be the snooze fest Bororama that Boris Johnson accused him of being? Or do you think this is just politics never goes one way forever?
Well, as well as doing 17 years as a Labour councillor, Jacob, I've also founded a multi-million-pound business, so I look at this with a number of hats on. And your guy, if I may call the Prime Minister that, Rishi, who I don't think you think is a socialist anymore, I think you would have to agree that compared to his immediate two predecessors, he's brought an air of calm and stability to your party. And in that sense, I'd say he's doing well. And as a proud British citizen with Irish heritage, I'm very pleased at the progress made in Northern Ireland, which I think you might disagree with as well. I mean, I don't believe that your party has got energy or vision left to govern this country, but compared to the previous two holders of the prime ministerial position, Rishi has to be deemed to be doing a much, much better job.
And this makes it harder for Keir Starmer because he was able to appear
competent,
more statesmanlike,
yeah,
when the Tory party was going through leaders in the way most people change their shirts. And now, does he just look a bit dull, or am I being unfair?
No, Keir is a fantastically charismatic person of integrity, in my opinion, who has...
You said fantastically charismatic with a straight face.
Yeah,
I'm very
the
impressed.
guy's got an amazing life story and is a very dedicated public servant. He's not interested in politics for power, for money. He wants to make a difference. I know that everyone doesn't like his style, but some people don't like your style. You know, I think you're a nice bloke.
Thank you.
You know, but I think... Labour, yes, it would have been easier for Labour if your choice, Liz, had remained in office. But after she tanked our economy, you've now brought some steady hands to the tiller.
Emma, do you think Rishi's Conservative enough?
No, not for a Conservative like me. I'm a small C Conservative, and I'd like to see, as I think many people would, many small C Conservatives would like to see a bit more of the sort of connection with the political, philosophical roots of the Conservative Party. I do think that Rishi has, as you said, has been a stabilising force, and he is also operating against what I think Keir Starmer has actually pulled his socks up a bit and is performing quite well at the moment as well. But as with everything, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I think with the AUKUS deal, Rishi is in that specific instance, he's harvesting the fruits of others' labours.
Well, that was very much Boris Johnson's.
Absolutely. And he's now the face of the success of that pact, and I think that that's fantastic news. I think that's going to be extremely important as... because often we criticise politicians for being short-termist. This is very much a long-term plan to push our hard power in the Indo-Pacific against an increasingly aggressive China. So I think that's good foresight.
But the government won't say it's really worried about China, will it? It seems to be very much sitting on the fence in relation to China.
And actually Rishi himself has been, I think, too soft on this. If you compare him to Liz Truss, who was very forthright about China being a threat rather than merely a challenge, I think that Liz Truss actually had that right, and that Rishi is, I think he thinks for diplomatic reasons, pulling back on that. And I think on all of the other successes that you've mentioned, I think, yes, it does seem that Rishi has had a sort of a good run, but with all of these, the proof of the pudding is going to be in the eating.
Kevin, where are you on AUKUS? Do you think this is a great success of British foreign policy?
Yeah, I do, and I think on defence, which is one of the areas I really like what Keir Starmer's done with the Labour Party, which is no longer allow our party to be bracketed as extremist and unpatriotic. It was good to see our Prime Minister alongside a democratic US President and a Labour Prime Minister from Australia almost motivated by the welfare and the first duty of each government to protect their citizens. But just big picture for a moment. The Conservatives are still 20 points behind, no matter how well, who you called, I think, a socialist back in the day, Prime Minister is doing. So how are you going to change that?
Do you think it will change, or do you think we're stuck in this and that the Labour Party is storming ahead regardless of what gets done, even after these apparent successes?
I think that Keir Starmer's success in the opinion polls is not deserved. I think it's a result of the failures of the Conservative Party. I don't feel confident that Rishi is going to be able to turn this around in time for the next general election.
And a lot of the polls show a high number of undecideds, of people who haven't made up their mind, and that therefore there's probably greater fluidity in the polls than you would expect to see.
Yes, and I think to be fair and balanced, which I try and always do, believe it or not, there are a large number of voters who think that fine Labour, it's all right for you to criticise the government all the time, but we want to see more flesh on the bones of your vision. And of course, the challenge for Labour is that most of Labour's policy agenda in recent times, I would say, has been nicked by your lot. E.g. the big childcare announcement that's coming in the next 48 hours. But Conservative governments have come back from 20 points before, so nobody is complacent around Keir Starmer. Macmillan did it, Thatcher did it, and Major did it.